Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. Today we're going to be looking into the world of microplastics. But we're not just looking at numbers and figures. We're diving into a personal story that we found on YouTube on a channel called Eco Nightmares, The Incursion Within. And this person's experience with microplastics is really kind of chilling and really makes you think.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, a personal story can make this huge problem, like plastic pollution.
Yeah.
Something we all know about, something that's all over the world, but can make it feel so real and so close to home because, data and statistics can be really hard to wrap your head around sometimes. But when a person tells you about their own experience, it suddenly becomes much more real, like it could happen to any of us.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what are microplastics? I mean, I've heard the word, but like, what are they exactly?
So microplastics are basically like these tiny little bits of plastic. They're less than 5 millimeters in diameter, so very, very small. And they come from like bigger plastic things breaking down, like when your water bottle or your plastic bag, they break down into these little pieces, but also from like microbeads that are in some cosmetics and even from synthetic fibers that are in our clothes. And because they're so small, they can get into our food and our water and even the air.
Oh, wow. That's pretty scary. And so back to the YouTube video, right? This person starts by talking about something really normal, just taking a shower, but then things get really weird.
Yeah, they start to feel this like strange sensation under their skin, like as if there were tiny grains of sand moving around. And at first they just think, oh, it's just stress, but the feeling gets stronger and stronger and they start to find these little specks in the shower water. It's really creepy.
I bet. And that's just the start, right? They find plastic on their tongue, like they're just sitting there and there's plastic on their tongue and they think it's a bad dream at first. And he just makes you realize these microplastics are everywhere.
It is a powerful image, right? Because we think of like, our bathroom, our shower as this clean space, but even that can be affected. It really makes you think about where else these microplastics could be hiding.
Yeah, it's like this constant worry in the back of your mind knowing that you can't really escape it. And it gets worse, right? They start seeing it in their food, their water, the air, like everywhere they look.
And, that actually reflects what scientists are finding out, too. We're finding microplastics in more and more places, like even in the deepest parts of the ocean and in the Arctic. It's a global problem for sure.
Wow. And they even stop eating fish and salt because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine having to give up foods you love just because of this fear. It's really changing how they see the world, becoming so aware of all these dangers around them.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what's happening in society as a whole, right? As we learn more about microplastics, we start questioning the things we buy, the things we use, the impact we have on the environment. This story really taps into that, that growing feeling that something's not quite right with how we're living.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it like that.
It was like this underlying current of unease about our connection with the environment and how it's changing.
Yeah, it's really making me think.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
To get people thinking and talking about these important issues.
For sure. So what happens next in this YouTube video? I'm really hooked now.
Oh, things get even more intense. Buckle up.
So they're seeing microplastics everywhere and changing their diet and everything, but it doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't. They actually start feeling physically sick, like these sharp pains and things, and go to see a doctor.
Oh, wow. So like, what does the doctor say?
Well, the doctor kind of brushes it off as just stress or something wrong with their diet, which is really frustrating, because they're clearly suffering and no one's taking them seriously.
It's got to be like a double whammy, right? You're feeling sick and then the doctor just dismisses you.
Exactly. And it's something we see a lot with environmental issues. Science is still catching up and sometimes doctors don't have all the answers, but just telling someone they're fine when they're clearly not isn't helpful.
Definitely. And then comes like the turning point in the video, the moment that proves they were right. All along, they find a microplastic shard embedded under their skin.
Yeah, it's a really disturbing scene. They actually dig it out. It's like something out of a horror movie.
It makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. And, beyond the physical discomfort, it's the mental and emotional impact that really gets to me. They talk about feeling violated, like they can't trust anything anymore, like even food and water.
Right. It really messes with your sense of safety and security, like that your own body is betraying you in a way.
And then to make matters worse, when they try to tell people about what they found, everyone thinks they're crazy.
That's so common, unfortunately. People don't want to believe that something so disturbing could be true, especially if it means they have to change their habits.
It's easier to just ignore it.
Yeah, until it's too late. And the story ends on a really sad note. They're still sick, they can't sleep, they can't eat, and they keep hearing the sound of like plastic crinkling inside them. It's heartbreaking.
Wow. So is that where the video ends?
Yeah, basically. And they leave us with this question, like, what will these microplastics do to us over time? It's a question we all need to be asking.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, after watching this video, you got to wonder, is the fear of microplastics justified, or is it all just hype?
Well, like I said before, science is still catching up.
Okay.
We don't have all the answers yet, but it's better be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Right? We should be doing everything we can to minimize our exposure to microplastics, especially while we're still learning more about them.
That makes sense. So what can we do? I mean, it feels like they're everywhere. So is there anything we can actually do to avoid them?
There are definitely things we can do both individually and as a society. Like, we can all try to reduce our plastic use by using reusable bags and water bottles and things like that. And we can support companies that are trying to use less plastic in their packaging.
That's a good start. But I mean, this person was doing all that and they were still getting sick. So it seems like we need bigger changes, right?
Yeah.
Like on a societal level.
Absolutely. We need stricter regulations on plastic production, especially for single-use plastics. And we need to invest in research for alternatives to plastic, like biodegradable materials.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to be tackling this problem from all sides.
Exactly. It's not a simple solution, but it's something we have to do for our health and the health of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty bleak, right? But I don't want to believe that there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a wake-up call, but not a reason to give up. I think it shows just how important it is to find solutions and work together on this.
So, like, what can we do? Where do we even start?
Well, for one thing, there's a lot of really cool research happening right now. Like, scientists are working on bioplastics made from things like seaweed and mushrooms, even agricultural waste stuff that can actually break down naturally.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So, like, is that actually happening? Are there companies doing that?
Yeah, definitely. There are companies already making packaging from these materials, and some researchers are looking at ways to use enzymes to, like, break down plastics faster. It's pretty cutting-edge stuff.
That's really encouraging to hear. Like, there are people out there actually trying to solve this problem. But it can't just be about new inventions, right? Like, what about laws and stuff?
You're right. We need better laws to control how much plastic is produced, especially those single-use plastics that we just throw away. And some countries have already banned microbeads in cosmetics, which is a good step. And we need to make sure companies are responsible for their products from the beginning to the end, you know?
So it sounds like we need to be doing a lot of different things at the same time to really make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's a complex problem that needs a complex solution. Like, the eco-nightmare story showed us we're all connected, and what we do affects everyone else in the environment.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening for me. I'm definitely more aware of all the plastic around us now and how serious this problem is. That question from the video, what will they do to us over time? It's kind of stuck with me.
I think it's a question we should all be thinking about, but it's also a call to action. You know, we have the power to change things if we make smart choices, support eco-friendly companies, and push for change. We can stop plastic pollution from destroying our planet and ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not too late to make a difference. So if this episode got you thinking too and you want to share your thoughts or ideas, head over to social media and use the hashtag #DeepDiveMicroplastics. Let's keep this conversation going and work towards a healthier future for everyone. And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.